Thank you very much for the challenging introductions, Federica. So good afternoon to all of you. I'm pleased to be here today on behalf of EU Specialty Food Ingredients, which is the umbrella organizations representing the European manufacturers of specialty food ingredients. So specialty food ingredients are a broad range of ingredients that are added to food for their nutritional and or technological functions. So among them, you will find, for example, vitamins and minerals, fibers, prebiotics, special fats and proteins, functional carbohydrates, and food additives. Or should I say, but also food additives? Because they crystallize passions, don't they? So about this, I'm not talking about the future. I will say, and I will start with a few anecdotes about the past. About 20 years ago, when I joined this sector, so I left my previous job to come to work for the food additives sectors, a friend of mine who was working for the food industry told me then, food additives? Are you sure? Well, anyway, desperate causes are the most beautiful. So that was not very promising. Then I attended a CIAA conference, the annual conference at that time, and the CEO of a global food companies was just telling the audience that within the next decades, the products that his food is manufacturing will not contain food additives any longer. But guess what? 20 years after, of course, these food companies sells foods with food additives inside. And I would say nowadays, obviously, because when food additives are used, this is for a reason. And this is something that is very important to keep in mind, of course. So, and this reason, you can imagine that it's not everybody from an R&D department will just wake up, look at the sky, say, wow, the sun shines in Belgium eventually. That's the perfect day for me to add food additives in my formulations. No, they are there for a technological reasons, to fulfill a technological need that cannot be replaced by any other economically and technological acceptable function. So, obviously by any other mean. So obviously they are there to stabilize, to texturize, to emulsify, to sweeten, to color, to preserve. And I name it, but there are many other functions. And actually, this is one of the three main conditions for a food additive to be permitted in the European Union. Now, there is a second condition, which is a legal one as well, and which is paramount. It's about their safety, because obviously their safety is assessed. And unlike many other ingredients, the safety is not assessed directly by the manufacturers as part of a self-assessment, but it is assessed by EFSA as part of a pre-market authorization that involves a thorough assessment of all food additives, whatever their origin, botanical, chemical synthesis, animals, fermentations, minerals, whatever, they are all assessed before they enter in the market. And then they are also assessed after, once they are on the market, through a re-evaluation program of their safety that is currently ongoing, and as well as part of a national monitoring of their intake, which is carried out by law by member states, just to make sure that their consumption is not exceeded the safe levels that have been attributed by EFSA. So, apart from the technological needs, the food industry may have also some high interest in using food additives because of two additional dimensions. The first one is the sustainable dimensions. Andres talked about it a little bit before. And this is important to know that, like many other ingredients producers, the food additive manufacturers pay great attention, of course, to sustainable sourcing of the raw materials they are using to produce their ingredients, but also to sustainable productions by, for example, paying attention to cutting down on energy or waste consumption. But moreover, one specific categories of additives are also considered as being sustainability enablers. That is to say that they are used to enhance the profile of the foods in which they are used. And I'm talking about, of course, preservatives, for example, because they will help cutting down the food waste by extending the shelf life of the products. But it's not only preservatives. You could think about, as well about, for example, antioxidants that will prevent the rancidity of foods, or anti-caking agents that will prevent powders to agglomerate and to form clutters, such making the use much more complicated. So with all There is also another dimension that I should not forget, is that some additives are also granted health claims. You can find them on the EU Register of Health Claims. So I'm talking about, for example, and sorry, Andres, but the sugar replacers, like the local sweeteners or the bulk sweeteners. You can find as well some additives like pectins, like guar gum, like ascorbic acid, hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose. All these additives are granted health claims. So there is also some obvious interest in using them. Now, taking all of this into account, so technological need, safety, the use should not mislead the consumer, moreover, meaning that they need to be properly labeled. You take into account the dimensions of sustainability and the dimensions of health properties for some of them. Director of DG Santé recently asked me, well, with all of this properties, with all of these benefits, you should be proud of your additives. But actually, we are proud of the additives that we are representing and manufacturers. But you, as users of these additives, are you proud of using them, or do you consider them as being a necessary evil? Because it's true that, of course, additives suffers a problem of poor perceptions. I think that this is not news. This is a persistent problem. I am unable to explain where it comes from. Frankly, I don't understand, because they're properly labeled. There is a reference to their technological functions by, for example, putting on the labels that they are used for preservations or for texturizing or for coloring, and then it's followed by the E number or the name of the additives. And by the way, the number is not mandatory. You can use the name of the additives. So having all of this in mind, I still don't understand where the problem of the safety perceptions is coming from. But what I know for sure is that we as an industry, we are collectively responsible of nurturing the mistrust of consumers in food additives every time that we claim that the product is without food additives or without specific categories of food additives. Because we are implying that we as an industry, we are questioning the safety of these safe ingredients. So how do you expect the consumers to have a different opinion if you, as users, you are not convinced about what you're using? Let me conclude by saying that all specialty food ingredients, so that is to say vitamins, minerals, fibers, prebiotics, functional carbohydrates, special fats and proteins, and of course food additives, are there to make your foods safe, healthy, tasty, convenient, affordable, and sustainable. Thank you very much for your attention.